Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Phil. This is the goddamn motherfucking piece of shit podcast interviews that we do sometimes. Sometimes we're quite serious with them. I mean, really, aren't we, Johnny?
Are we?
I mean, the Amir Jordan one wasn't bad.
Yeah.
With your nan's favourite wrestler.
Yeah, your nan's favourite wrestler. Indeed. You had Joe Connors.
The Joe Connors one's pretty good. I mean, so what are you going to bring to the table, other Joe?
Average Joe. Hello,
good
Joe
question.
Biggs.
I have no clue.
For those of you who don't know, this is Joe Biggs in the studio with us today.
Yes, he is an upcoming Northeast rising star. I'm putting him over right now, but you know why not? I can do those things.
Yes, absolutely.
We're allowed to. Are we allowed to put anyone over?
Put anyone over you want.
It's all I fucking do.
You just constantly put people over.
We were just talking off air about the time I first saw you wrestle. It was against Primate.
Oh yeah.
I refused to lose.
I put him over there.
I'll put Primate over. I'll put this guy over. He's a grizzled young vet.
4 years in.
4 years, grizzled young vet.
It's probably closer to about 5-ish now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been doing it a little while now.
Too long.
Because, I mean, I remember because I started training again when you started, like, originally.
Was that at the lair?
That was at the Lair of Lucha, yeah.
Constable Nina and Constable D.
Yes! That was going to be my gimmick. This is not about me, though. That'll be for another time.
This is all about you.
This is
Joe.
about Mr.
Just like
Biggs.
Emma would say.
Pressure.
So you started, like, at the Lair and stuff. So, like, I mean, what, like, obviously I know what it was like because I was there, but let fucking people know how it was.
I started before the lair even opened. I don't really know if, like, it's still classed as the lair these days. So I started training, I think it was January 12th, 2013.
Jesus Christ.
I have, like, the best memory of all, like, the small details.
Yeah.
But I kind of remember, like, the important shit that actually matters.
Yeah.
Like, matches and stuff.
Just forget a match halfway through. Who cares?
I think I'd been training about, like, a year and 4 months or something before my first show.
Oh, wow.
So I've been doing shows now about 3.5 years. I've done about 50 matches this year, so that's like...
I was going to say, like, you're probably one of the people that came out of the Northeast that is just kind of, like, consistently busy. Most shows that me and Johnny go to now, you're booked on.
I'm so sorry.
I would definitely not apologise for getting yourself booked. No, there is absolutely nothing to apologise for that. Like, and the thing is, though, you get over wherever you go in any case.
I try.
Yeah, like at North you got over when you were tag teaming with Lewis Ryan.
I was shitting myself about that one. Because North is like... I'd say North's one of, like, the big three of, like, the Northeast. Like, I'd say MEW, Absolute, and North. They're, like, the big three top ones around here.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'd not really had a proper match, I guess, on, like, any of the others. But when I got the tag match on North back in the summer, that was, like, one of the first, like, big serious matches, kind of. So I didn't know how, like, a big audience crowd was gonna, like, take to me. I didn't know if I'd step out and did not know, like, who the fuck I was. That was my big worry.
Yeah.
And forgetting the match and fucking everything up.
Well, to be fair, during that match, you did, like, a dive over the top rope. And I think you were the first person the entire fucking show who done a dive.
I like dives. It's all I'm good at.
You just like hurting yourself.
So what was it like for you when you got, like, the call to say, well, you're going to be on a show that's televised? I mean, how does that feel for yourself when you've worked for so long and then you get that big moment?
Every time I get, like, a message from, like, a promoter of a big company, I usually think it's a joke at first. Like, I'll read the message, like,
you're getting ribbed.
I'll read the message a bunch of times and I'll check, like, right, is this a real account? Is this a real, like, actual page for that promotion?
Yeah.
But no, I had a bit of discussion with the promoter and, like, got the details in that, and then he booked me, and then it didn't really sink in until it was announced on the page, kind of. That was when I really started to, like, think, like, oh shit, it's
actually happening.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, I'm actually getting a booked on a What Culture show. So, like, did it occur to you then, like, when when obviously you're wrestling, you're thinking, shit, this is going to go out and, like, lots of people are going to watch this? Or is it like, or do you just go, well, kind of fuck it, it'll happen, whatever happens?
It's kind of half and half. Like, when I did the What Culture show about a year ago, it was only like a 2-minute squash
Yeah.
match, but as I was getting suplexed over and over again, I was thinking, like, I wonder how many views this is going to get. I wonder if my mother's watching. And
I'm so proud of you, son.
right now, it's at about 50,000 views.
Oh,
so,
this will get nowhere near that, by the way. I'm just warning you now.
I'll give it a few shares.
Shameless self-promotion right there.
I've got nearly 1,000 likes on my page now, so I'm just pushing to get that extra
We'll
25 I
we'll
need.
have your Facebook page on. We'll put it in the comments down below, by the way, in the description down below if anyone wants to have a look at that.
Please, I need the
That's-
ego boost.
He's only on like 970 or something now.
I got a few more last night because I did a quick share,
Yeah.
and it's at like 975-ish now, but
Oh man.
every time I get a bit closer, some prick decides to unlike it, like, oh, you one less like, closer now, so it's like,
Get them
fuck
to
you.
1,000 lads and lasses. Come on.
How
Get 'em
we'll
there.
get it
We'll get
done.
'em there. We'll get
He's
Joe
not a
Biggs there.
dick.
I am.
Let's
but-
be fair.
At
I mean,
what?
you
At
know.
Joe Biggs, is it?
Oh yeah.
At Joe BIGGS. Joe
Joseph Biggs dash professional wrestler. I've got a Twitter, but I never use it.
But they'll both be in the description. Don't you worry.
That's the one we want. Yeah,
I have Instagram as well. It's where I post my shit.
That's
Jimmy
where it's
selfies.
mainly where you post all your gym selfies.
My Instagram's a combination of gym selfies, chihuahuas, and just the sesh.
The sesh.
Mainly
Yeah.
the sesh.
If you are a promoter trying to book him, you can pay him in money or vodka. Like, you know, I mean, he's quite happily.
I would probably take vodka as a form of payment.
It's like mini Jimmy Havoc. It's like we've got a miniature version of Jimmy Havoc in the studio.
I don't suit the guy liner as well. At least not these days. I used to be like,
Can somebody book you against Jimmy Havoc and you just dress as him and just you have that moment where he looks like he's in a mirror at some point?
I'd probably die.
it's like Kane against impersonator Kane.
Yeah, that's literally what it would be. Oh, it would be great. I'd love that sort of stuff. So, like, you started, like you were saying, a few years ago. So, who was your first match against? I'm gonna guess.
Go on.
I'm gonna guess it was against the man known as Oliver Barrett.
No. I was actually doing this before Oliver Barrett. Kind of.
Ah, right.
I say kind of.
He's
That's-
burying you. It's gonna be on the dirt
Oh,
sheets.
we'll get to that.
Joe Biggs buries Oliver Barrett. I'm only kidding, by the way.
I put him through a table once.
Brilliant.
He says I'm unsafe because I put his shoulder out. That was
Oh.
intentional, dick. No, my first ever match was against Robbie Ryder.
Oh wow,
I-
that's a name I
I
haven't heard in a
still
while.
remember my first match quite well. I can tell you the story of how it all kind of happens.
Yeah, man.
I remember, like, when it was discussed for me getting on shows, I was always meant to have, like, a masked character,
Yeah.
which I did for a while but don't really do these days.
Yeah.
I'll not spoil who it is, but I feel like a lot of people probably know.
It's Felis Atrox, right?
Oh, yeah, that's me. So I was going to be doing this masked character full time, but the problem was the promoter, Georgie, at the time, decided I was ready for shows, but we didn't have the mask. So at the time, I was just kind of treading water, like waiting to get on shows. So he came up with this idea where, like, I was going to get squashed. I was going to be, like, brought out as, like, myself, just a trainee from the Lair of Lucha.
Yeah.
And I was going to get squashed and, like, decimated by, I think it was Viper or someone.
Oh yeah.
And then I was going to get killed off, and that was just going to be me gone until, like, the masked character debuts.
All right.
Then I'd be doing that full time.
Are we talking about the same Viper here? The Viper.
The female wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would have, like, gotten to work her briefly, and she's like in Japan and like the Mae Young Classic and all that. So even if it was a 5-minute squash, that would have been like something
Something to go on your
solid.
CV.
Oh yeah. But on the day of the show where I was meant to be getting squashed, someone dropped out and the whole card had to get reshuffled about, which eventually led to Georgie dropping out of his match because he was going to have Robbie Ryder because he'd promised me a match. So instead of getting squashed, I got like a full-length match with Ryder.
Well, I mean, that I suppose, like for someone like Robbie Ryder, he's been over 10 years.
Oh,
Well, at that point, in
Longer
any
than
case,
that.
he's been in like the Northeast wrestling business for a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if for anyone to have your first match against, I think that's a pretty good shout.
I wouldn't have changed it. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have had my first match against anyone else now. I still go back and watch that match sometimes
Yeah.
as a throwback and look at my old crusty gear and shit hair and just shit everything. Like,
Oh man.
I wouldn't recommend watching it because it's not what I can do now.
No, it's not the best representation of you as a wrestler now.
Like, I don't regret going on shows when I was like, I don't want to say unready because I wasn't totally unready. Like, I needed the experience at that point
yeah.
of being on a show and being in front of a crowd, and it got like the big match nerves out the way. Like, I don't think I've been as nervous for a match as I have for that.
Yeah.
Like, all the big names I've worked this year, that's always going to be like the highest point. But it helped my confidence in that. And the next show, about a month later, I was fucking ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous one bit for that.
I mean, that's kind of cool to like to hear like, oh yeah, I had like my first match, and then after that, and then getting all these other bookings in different places. Really, it is literally get in the ring as many times as humanly possible, get booked
Definitely.
wherever. Doesn't matter what it is, get the experience, because that's the only way you're going to evolve, really, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You can do as many training sessions and mat sessions as you want, but I mean,
Unless
you know,
you're on a show and like seeing what works with a crowd and what doesn't
Yeah.
work and like applying that. Like, that's the things you can't really teach in training, like actual in-ring experience.
Yeah.
You can do as many training sessions as you like, because I did a lot of in-ring training before I started, so it helped with like running the ropes and that, even though I still couldn't quite do it when I was on shows. But just positioning and getting an idea of what it was like. I've heard stories of some people where like they've had their first match and they've never even been in a ring. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how.
That was that's the case with like a lot of people though recently though.
Yeah.
Especially like with training schools. I'm quite glad that a lot of training schools now they start in ring.
Yeah.
Like, because it really gives people. Do you not think it's kind of? I'm gonna get a little bit in depth here, but it's kind of if you're trained in ring, it's more a thing of like, you know where your ego is, because you're like, shit, this fucking hurts.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the people who can't take it will then instantly drop out, and you know then who's serious about it.
That's kind of exactly how I started training. It was a friend of mine who discovered the school, and he wanted me to go along and accompany him, because like I wouldn't have went along by myself. I just didn't have the confidence, and I didn't know anyone there, so the whole idea just like spooked me way too much. So I originally went along because he was going, and I was just going to help him out, come along and like accompany him. And he quit pretty quickly after like not getting the hang of it, and I just stuck at it for whatever reason. I wanted to quit after the first session though, because as you say, like bumping in the ring and just all that kind of shit.
I was going to say, like, after that first bump, did you, like, was it the first bump you were thinking, oh, what have I got myself into here?
It was just like, I thought I could maybe hack it until like we did strikes that same session. Then I got paired with the previously mentioned Oliver Barrett before he was Oliver Barrett.
Yeah.
And I only found this out recently. I was told by him that like apparently I'd been a smug little shit at that session. So the trainers had personally instructed him to chop and forearm the fuck out of me.
Jesus.
So that was good to know.
That's always fun.
But because like I wasn't really an active kid or anything when I started, like I didn't gym as much as I do now, or just did anything. I try and avoid PE whenever possible. So
I was the same.
Doing wrestling was like one of the most active things I'd really done. So just even the stretch off and the warm up and that had me aching, and like the next day I woke up and I was sore, and the chops and forearms didn't help. But just a combination of everything we'd done that day had me in like so much pain that I could barely even get out of bed without hurting.
Jesus.
So I didn't want to go back, because at the time I was thinking it was going to be like that every single week, and I just thought like, oh, it was fun, but it's not worth this kind of pain. So I was just kind of looking for excuses to get out of it at the time. But the week after that first training session, we had a show, and that was in ring. So, well, obviously it was in ring. So having the ring there, we got a chance to like just not mess about, but yeah, mess about. So I went along knowing that like I wasn't gonna get chopped and forearmed in that because it was a show and I'd get to watch the show for free. And just kind of being in the crowd at that show like motivated me on enough to like stick at it a bit longer and try and get to that level eventually.
Like, did you have that moment then when you're like you're waiting in the crowd and you're watching everything happen and you just go, fuck, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to do right there?
I kind of had that moment at the first show, but I remember the next week in training we had the ring out again, and this was only like my second ever training session. I hit like a perfect springboard arm drag off the middle row
Nice.
on my second session, and that was where I decided like, yeah, I want to like keep doing this and see how far I can take this.
I mean, it's cool to like just to hear people's like origin stories, because usually a lot of people's is kind of the same, but in like there's different details. Like with you, like you very much remember like springboard arm drag. That's it. That's when I knew like it was going to be my thing to do. Like there's a lot of people. It's just like they were watching wrestling. For you, it was very much you had to go and do it, and then you were like, this is what I don't want to do.
Like I'd been a fan and I'd been to like WWE shows and all that. I say a lot.
It's alright.
I mentioned that in the last podcast I did. Nah, I'd been a WWE fan since about 2009-ish. I remember John Cena was feuding with Orton at the time, but that probably doesn't narrow it down.
I was just going to say, that lasted a long time.
Maybe a few years.
Yeah.
I'd been a fan for years, and it was just from like pissing around in my bedroom, like wrestling my mates, just going down the local park or doing it wherever we could, and finally finding somewhere to do it like professionally. We got into it from there. And I've made like a load of new friends since starting. Like I got a handful I know from before then. Quite a lot of my friends tried it out, but for some it just wasn't for them. But just about all the people I know now are through wrestling, more or less.
So have you worked with any sort of bigger names that have become like names that people may know that have become like close friends of yours, or?
I wouldn't say close friends, but I've worked with like quite a lot of big names, especially this year. Guys like Martin Kirby and Nathan Cruz and Johnny Storm. I could name more, but I've got a list on my tablets. I can never like remember much about that. I list like every match I've done, every opponent I've had, like every venue I've worked in. I think every promotion I've worked for, just like the total encyclopedia on that.
So are you just like pretty much like assigning like a wrestling CV to send to promoters?
Oh, I've got like a little CV. I just take like awesome. The important details in that.
So I've met Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes. And,
oh, that's actually my chat up line when I'm at the Dog and Parrot. I'll have a drink in my hand. I'll walk up to some lass. I met Kurt Angle.
Do you know how I am? No. Alright then, well that's the end of this conversation.
I've gotten a few numbers and Snapchat IDs from that.
Really? Just for like walking up to people?
Legit, I walk up and I'm like, I've met Kurt Angle, you know. Like, oh, is he the wrestler? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
yes. Now we get going from there.
Oh man, it's great. Like it's just so like we'll try and get back onto wrestling because sometimes it's
fuck wrestling.
Fuck wrestling and shit. Fuck the Northeast wrestling scene.
Talk about the sesh.
So what's your favourite cocktail?
All of them.
All of them.
Every single one like mixed into like one fucking death shot.
Oh man, it's so like we were speaking about your training and stuff before.
Oh yeah.
So you've basically had 2 periods of training. So you had your initial training and then what you could basically call like retraining, kind of.
Yeah, I'd probably call it that.
Yeah, retraining, is that like a good word for it? So it's kind of like you went to NGW, didn't you?
Yeah, it's where I train now full time.
Yeah.
They've got an academy in Chesley Street. Every Tuesday, 7:30 till 10. Anyone who's interested.
Gotta plug it.
No, I started out with Rad Pro, obviously, and they trained where Shield Pro trains right now at Tutory Community Centre. Trained there for well, since it started, but I lost my train of thought.
That's
completely.
fine.
It was
Sorry,
for
the squeaky chair is distracting everyone. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
gets it.
for my first full year of training. It was in Tutor and Harton. Like we trained at Harton Technology for a little bit in the sports centre in there before like the Lair eventually opened, and the Lair was kind of knocking about for about maybe 3 years, I want to say.
Yeah, it's about that.
But it kind of went downhill a lot in that time. It started off quite promising, but
It's a good idea.
I'll
I'll admit that. It is a very good idea.
there was nothing wrong with the idea
No.
of it. It was just the trainer not turning up half the time and putting other people in charge. It just turned
That
to
seems to
shit.
be something with the wrestling business. I don't know if it's like other businesses, but it seems like with wrestling, it seems to be like sometimes someone will be in charge and then the next week, they're not. And then people seem to just do what they want almost. And it's as if like, I don't know what it is. It just seems to be
There's
the wrestling
something about the
business.
wrestling scene, especially like in the well, I'm not going to say especially in the Northeast because I've not really been to any other wrestling scene than the Northeast. But it's like it's kind of a thing of business-wise. It's kind of just people do what they want.
Yeah.
Was what I've noticed.
Oh yeah, like that's what Rad Pro had become for a while. It went from training to, I guess, practice. Like you could go along and try moves and shit and just try out ideas you'd had, but unless you were like had no experience whatsoever, you weren't going to learn anything new.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of why I left. I mean, it was a combination of that and just like argument I had with the promoter back in the summer of last year, but that's a story for another time.
That's we're not trying to get you loads of heat and
there
not
was
get
there
booked
was
again.
There was a certain promotion in the Northeast that came here a couple of times, and there's been a lot of fans don't seem to like them too much.
Are we talking about 5-star?
Yeah.
Fuck you, 5-star, you
oh,
cunts. Right, there you go. You have
Are we allowed? Are we
5-star?
I'm gonna shit on them because they're a piece of shit.
Book me, please.
Yeah, but you can book Joe if you really want.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
cheap
just,
enough.
Get him a bottle of Glen's vodka and he's fine. Like
go wherever then.
a bottle of Glen's and he's yours.
It's the night he's absolutely steaming. Is the night that he gets a call of Vince McMahon, works with us, and he's like,
Hello,
"Fuck you, Vince, and your shit company."
Listen, you shit cunt.
I'm sorry, Vince. I like you.
No, I like Ginger as WWE champion. What are you talking about?
Unpopular opinion time. I fucking love Roman Reigns.
You know what it is?
Roman Reigns is the
I don't. You know what? I don't mind him.
best.
I think
It's fine. I don't have a problem. I have a problem with his character. I don't have a problem with his in-ring
and
work.
our subscription count has just gone down by half. No. You know what? It's interesting how wrestling fans always end up talking about him. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
like,
get it.
You know, you talk about this, say, "Oh, you like wrestling? So, what's your opinion of Roman then?" You know, it's like that's the first question that
it's
gets
the
asked.
first
you know,
question.
like-
It's like with football. Do you like Manchester United? Like it's the
Yeah.
thing with wrestling fans is always Roman Reigns.
And I don't know
Or
if, like,
John
back
Cena.
in 2006 or whatever, if John Cena was the same sort of thing. Like, the first thing they'd ask is like, "So, what do you think of Cena then?"
Yeah.
You know, but look, Reigns. I mean, yeah. So, being a wrestler yourself, and you're like watching
If you can
Reigns.
call it that.
Yeah, what do you like about the guy? Just so people can understand, like, he's actually not that bad.
I want to say all of it. Like, I legit don't get why people dislike him. Like, the main issue I hear is like, oh, he's over pushed and he's all over the product. But I remember when John Cena was like that guy, and everyone said, oh, we want something new, and they get something new.
Yeah.
And they fucking complain about it.
Yeah, it's yeah. We say on this a lot is that wrestling fans ruin wrestling.
I'll
Yes,
say it right here for
social
all the
media.
wrestling fans. Wrestling fans are the fucking worst.
Yeah,
They're absolute scumbags,
Well,
aren't
some of them.
they? Oh, they're awful.
they're pretty fucking bad. Like wrestling fans, you don't hear the same from like F1 fans. You don't hear F1 fans like shitting on Fernando Alonso because he's like, he's always wins. He's shit. Like it's just like no, he wins because he's fucking
Yeah, but I
good.
think the
Yeah.
difference is with wrestling fans, they know that to an extent they can control that. Because
Well-
Fernando Alonso or whatever is just good.
How do you know? Maybe it's all a fucking stage, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they're just fucking you over with the F1.
Possibly.
May-
Possibly. It's like, you just go slow around that corner.
Well, like you were saying about wrestling fans and like how they can change it, that's something again like that fucks me off. The fans that show up and try to be a part of the show,
Yeah.
the ones that try and make it about them.
Yeah, I hate that.
It really
fucking
knocks me
bunch
off,
in the
like-
Northeast,
Yeah.
the ones who like show up, they'll boo the faces, they'll cheer the heels.
It's the same fucking ones every time.
You know exactly what
I know
talking
exactly
about.
who the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And if any of them are fucking listening, by the way, you fucking wrestling marks, try and come up to me, see what the fuck happens, you little cunts.
Oh shit!
wrestling fans do, yeah.
You don't have to listen to this podcast and you don't have to like me.
No,
But they're the most important part of wrestling in a sense, but they're also the worst part about it. Like, obviously, you need fans, you need people to go in and watch, but at the same time, they go in there with an agenda of trying to spoil it for you. Like, you know, SmackDown doesn't have many people there, and it's like, you know, I mean, these people still tune into the network weekly. You know, they'll say, "Oh, I'll cancel." It's like, no, you won't. Like, of course you won't. You'll still tune in next week, even if Jinder Mahal's WWE champion and you don't like it. I don't mind him personally, but you know, most people are sick of him.
I think he's a good champ.
You know, and a lot of people don't
people
like
boo
this
him,
change.
so that's,
Well, here's the thing:
yeah.
he's getting heat. Like, no matter either way, if you're the kind of the thing of do you boo him because like you don't like him, or you boo him because like he's different? Like, it's kind of the whole thing. We made a point. If you want to go back, if anybody wants to go back and listen to it, that we made a point. See if what you think of this. That wrestling fans are inherently racist.
probably.
Yeah, I mean, like it to me, like if anybody wants to go back and listen to me argument, go back to the first podcast. I don't know. I'm not going to repeat myself over and over again, but it's kind of like a whole thing of like. It's always just like, oh, that guy's different, boom. Like,
Well,
that guy's got a different skin colour, I don't like him.
You say that, but they love Shinsuke, and he's Japanese.
Yeah, but like, it's kind of like he's got the whole thing of like, he's different because he's unique, not like he's different in like a completely like stupid way.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, I like Jinder, and I like Jinder as a champ. I don't know about you, Joe, like what's...
I think he's alright. Again, like, one of the biggest arguments I hear about is 1 week he won a number one contenders battle royal, the next week he was champion, and it was just like if you were asleep for like 2 weeks, you'd have missed the whole thing. It just came from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like the storyline with Daniel Bryan getting the title, they built that up for like fucking months. Where
It was almost a year.
he got it at SummerSlam, then he was screwed out of it with like a cash in, then he won it back and he was stripped of it, and then he had to like fight and like eventually get to WrestleMania, and like that's regarded as like a very good storyline. Everyone seems to like refer to that one as like one of the best recent ones.
That was a good one. Sadly, on the flip side, it also meant the birth of the worst faction in WWE history.
God.
The Authority. But other than that, yes, I enjoyed Daniel Bryan, and sometimes the fans can change things, and I feel like Daniel Bryan was an example of that. Like, it's partly down to CM Punk quitting WWE, but
There was a bunch of factors, but
know,
like,
I mean, obviously they wanted Randy Orton against Batista as the main event, and they changed it because the fans, well, they wouldn't want that.
if they had ended the streak that night and had Orton versus Batista go on main event, I believe there would have legitimately been riots.
It's kind of
It's
it's
a scary
another
thought,
thing
that,
of
to be
like
honest, that's
like fans kind of holding court with like promotions. Like, if this happens, we riot.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, like I've one of like you can say whatever you want. One of my favorite people in wrestling is Eric Bischoff,
Alright.
purely because of the whole like there is no such thing as bad press. Like you can create controversy and people will listen to you. Like, and that's kind of just how wrestling works.
That's a point I was going to make. People refer to like Jinder as having X-Pac heat, the go away heat. There's no such thing as X-Pac heat. If you're getting heat,
Yeah, that's it.
then
Heat is heat, no matter what type it is. Like it's wrestling fans are booing him, and like kind of like normal fans are booing him at the same time.
people can claim like, oh well, we're booing him because of how he's booked and we don't think he should be pushed. And
But you're
all
still
this.
booing him, so he's doing his
Exactly.
job. Like he's getting you to hate him, which is brilliant. And like one of the things I was quite happy with. Well, I think kind of I was hoping WWE could kind of go down this storyline, is like his actual backstory, like to how he's came back.
Yeah.
Instead of him just being like, I'm from India, I'm amazing. And he's not even from India, he's Canadian. Like, you know, like, I love Ryan Reynolds. You know, like, it just comes out in like a
Maple
massive...
syrup.
He's just a huge Deadpool mark. You know, like, just loads of stuff like that. But like, I would love it for him to come back and just go, I'm not better than you because I'm Indian. I'm better than you because I'm the one that sorted my life out. I done that by myself. I quit drink, I quit drugs, I quit bad friends, and that's why I'm better than every single one of you who bought a fucking ticket.
And that's like, wrestling fans are all jealous. Like, wrestling fans are all jealous of Jinder. I mean, obviously, if you've seen the shape he's in, and obviously you both have trained to be wrestlers, so I don't know, maybe there is some
Listen,
steroids
I didn't
involved in
train at all. I'll be fair. I done fuck
well,
all.
Joe, if you look at the way he's built, I mean...
I was at some of your sessions.
He was at some of my sessions. He knows how bad I was.
Joe, with someone like yourself who...
Georgie didn't turn up and he was like, can you do it, please?
Ooh, I'm not going to say nothing on that one. I'll be fair.
Or something like yourself where you obviously train regularly. The way Jinder Mahal's built, people will say, oh, he's definitely on steroids. Can you possibly look like that without doing steroids?
Well, if we're talking about the gym, it's a weird time to be mentioning that because you're probably going to see a Facebook post later. It's exactly 2 years today since I joined the gym I'm at right now and started training regularly. It's been like just about every other day for the past 2 years now, and
you've got some fucking shape on you. I will say that.
I'm still not where I want to be.
It's kind of a thing like I've noticed with wrestlers is if you're never happy with the way that you are, those are the people that constantly get progress.
Yeah.
And like are consistently like making themselves better. I wasn't happy with that match. I want to do this different this time. And I'm not happy with my physique. I'm going to do this time. I'm going to diet differently. I'm going to do all this sort of stuff. Those are always the people that I've noticed that are always not just pushed, but are booked because they see the general progress that's happening and the amount of effort they put in.
Well, that was like some advice I was given like a few years ago before I really started the gym, and I never really took it on board properly until I started training regularly. I did a seminar with Adrian Anderson, now known as Screwface.
Oh yes,
and
awesome guy.
I remember one of like the key bits of advice that I took away from that session was like to get a gym membership and like get in shape. And at the time, I didn't really think too much of it because I thought like, oh, as long as I can wrestle, my physique won't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to like What Culture shows and ICW shows and the WWE ones and that, and you kind of look and like really focus, like some of the shapes that they're in.
Like even the likes of people who you wouldn't even think are in shape, like Bray Wyatt, are still in amazing shape. You
don't really think about it until you see them live. Mm-hmm. That's something I've noticed. Like Drew Galloway, like you see him on WWE as Drew McIntyre, and he looks just as tall as like every other guy. Mm-hmm. And then you see him in person, and it's like,
yeah,
shit.
TV does not do that man enough credit. Like he's a lot bigger in real person in real life than actually anything else. But like I can say that like about you though as well. Like you coming to the ring, you look bigger than what you actually are.
It's the lights.
It's lighting effects. Photoshop.
I lube up with a shit ton of baby oil before every single match.
Gotta lube it up.
So when obviously things wrestling fans complain about with terms of like Roman and whatnot is his promo skills aren't that good and all that. What was it like for you for the first time when you had to grab the mic in the ring maybe? And
oh god, I remember that.
Oh, here we go.
Like from getting onto shows in May 2014, May 3rd 2014, again all the dates
Jesus.
I was just booked on Rad Pro like for the first year and a half of doing that. Like I didn't have any outside bookings or anything. And while I had storylines and that, I never really got on the mic at any point, so while I was just doing my shit in the ring, I never had to worry about like promos and all that. But after about a year and a half of doing Rad Pro shows, Full Tilt Wrestling started using me for a few shows. One of my first appearances there was they brought me in and gave me the angsty emo kid gimmick. I'm not quite sure why.
I mean, I can't tell by the black hair or the black clothes you wear.
I was wearing a razor blade necklace at the time. I had like some checky ass sweatbands.
Jesus.
Shit band t-shirts.
Those times.
Again, not sure how I got that right, but I took it. It was an outside booking. So I was asked to like go get in the ring and cut a promo about how I'd been like left off the show and how I was like gonna protest and how I wasn't leaving the ring until I got a match. And basically I got the match in my head and I thought, I'll just wing this promo. How hard could it possibly be? Come out, do the entrance, got in the ring, get handed the mic. Shit.
So is that the Titus O'Neil promo back then?
Shit.
So I just like started going to speak, but like the words
were not happening.
And eventually I like got going, and I was just like, Full Tilt Wrestling, I've been left off the card. You've all overlooked me and shit without swearing. And at one point I thought I'd actually fucked up the name of the company. I was like, all you scumbags here at FTW, but I thought I'd accidentally said ICW. Because I think earlier that day I like got a ticket to one of their upcoming shows or something.
Right.
So as I handed the mic back, I was like, I fucked up. And then the match started, and that all went fine. But I just had like the promo in the back of my mind. So now every time a promoter asks me, I need you to do a promo, it's like that moment in school where like the teacher is like, so we're gonna do presentations today. Just like start sweating, shaking, dry mouth.
Just start randomly getting Tourette's in the middle of the ring, and just like, listen, I'm here at MAW. You shit cunts!
I just say that to the fans that boo me and the ones that like to go on Facebook and slag me off publicly, and then fucking come up to me after the show like,
can I get a picture? Can you sign
exactly
this?
Like that's
fucking dickheads. It's like one of the things that like speaking of MAW. That was your last show, wasn't it? That was your
that was
last week.
That was last week, but
not last week. The week before. Sorry.
Yeah, that shit. There's too many fucking shows. I had MAW, and then the following day I had Shield Pro's Shieldiversary.
Yeah.
That was on the Saturday, I think. But I've had like this past weekend clear, which is quite rare these days. Like,
it's weird for you to have like a weekend where you don't wrestle.
November coming up is fucking insane. I think
Yeah.
I've got about 3 days in total that are available still.
Get them on them dates, even if you don't want them to like wrestle. Just have them turn up.
If you want to book me for a sesh.
Joseph Biggs available for wrestling parties and ... sesh.
I'll pull with all my skills of how I met Kurt Angle one time.
That's a good one, man. I mean, like, because we were speaking about MEW, and you're now technically part of the Tyne and Werewolves now. Is that right?
I got to keep the jacket and the t-shirt, so
you're quite happy. I was just like, I got free stuff. I'm good.
I've started wearing the jacket for outside shows now.
Really?
For like, I wore that for
cool.
Shield the next day.
Oh, nice.
And if you've ever seen a Shield show, you know that they've got like a load of stage lights.
Yeah.
And, like a proper professional setup, like a shit ton of lights on the stage and the ring. So I wore the jacket. I'd like oiled up and all that before I went out. Came round, got in the ring. As I took the jacket off, like I was sweating my tits off, and the match hadn't even started yet. So
Jesus.
it's probably a better idea to save up for shows with like less heavy lights.
Yeah.
What's it like when you're in the ring and you've got all these fans watching you and like, you know, watching every move, criticising you at every moment if they don't
Slagging
like
me
it?
off on Facebook.
So what's it like when you're in the ring? I mean, do you sort of maybe forget the fans are there, or like you're too busy focused on the ring?
A lot of the time, yes, actually. I think that's probably been the case for like every match. I try to like involve them and like make eye contact at times so that like it involves them a little bit. But on the whole, like once I get going, like I'm quite often in autopilot. I've been doing it long enough now to like just you remember the start, you get that little bit out of the way, and then the rest you just crack on with it. But no, I remember there was one time I was really wishing the fans weren't there. Again, like it was a Shield show. I accidentally thought I'd exposed myself.
Really?
I've got this pair of trunks where they've got. Have you seen the ones Kalisto wears where it's got like the little bits on the front?
Yeah, I like the flapping things in the wind. Yeah.
I have a pair like that, and I made the mistake of wearing it this one day.
Right.
It was a match against Mihai back in March, I think.
Mihai's good as well. I
really enjoyed that match. It was simplistic, but one of my favourites this year, probably. Yeah. Like I'd just given him like a big move or something, and he was like selling it down in the corner. So I go to try and claim him, and he pulls this flap, and like I hit the middle corner.
Yeah.
But I felt a breeze as he pulls this flap.
Oh Jesus!
And I saw a bunch of like the kids in the front row looking absolutely
mortified.
And to this day, I don't know if I accidentally flashed a bollock.
Well, the thing is, like, you would have known because at that point on, if it happened, then you would have been on the list. and it's not Jericho's list. Like,
Is there a list here?
there's a list that some
The
certain
RopeBreak
people
list.
that Northumbria police keep.
To be fair, I did mouth like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Please don't sue me. Don't tell the cops.
I was in too much of a good mood that day, like, because I was going to see All Time Low that night, and
Oh, fair play.
instead of focusing on the match, as I was getting my ass kicked, like Mihai was like stomping on my head, and while selling it, I was thinking, I wonder if they're gonna play a Weightless tonight. I hope they do some shit from the new album.
Well, speaking about music, actually, like that's kind of a big thing for you as well. You're a big like music guy, a bit like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
me and Johnny.
It's like
we're-
the only thing I like in life.
it's not even wrestling anymore. It's just like you do
fuck
wrestling to pay for music shows. It's to go to fucking gigs. I mean, like, so what's some of your favourites? So you've mentioned All Time Low there.
I was at a really good one the other day, Neck Deep. in
Oh, Neck.
Newcastle.
Yeah, you were at Neck Deep, weren't you? Yeah.
I nearly couldn't make that one because I was booked for Target originally that day, but there were some issues and like they had to cancel. So I managed to get to go and see them. But All Time Low, that's another one. I'm into Oasis quite a lot at the minute, but I think I've totally missed that bandwagon because I think I was born right around the time they were kind of doing their thing.
Well, I mean, if it helps, Liam Gallagher's got a new album coming out.
He does.
So-
And Noel Gallagher and both Liam are playing at the arena soon.
Yeah, so I mean,
So-
like, if now is kind of the time to get back onto the Liam and Noel
Yeah, true.
thing. Like, you know.
They play a lot of them at the Dog and Parrot. So
Yeah.
As I'm trying to pull, they've got like Wall of Glass playing in the background.
So how old are you, Joe?
In 2 months' time, I'll be 21.
So he's 20.
Oh, okay. So that's-
He's trying to get behind the fact that he's 20.
I'm just trying to seem like a big boy. I've got
Oh
a
man,
beard.
yeah, he does have a bit of a beard, to be fair. So I mean, like, you know, it's been fun having you on, man. Like, we've
Before we go though, what is you mentioned you work with Primate. What's he like to work with then?
Oh, very fun. I'm trying to think how many times I've actually worked with him now.
you've shared backstage with him quite a bit now.
Oh, like a lot of shows now. I've had about 4 matches with him now.
Right.
The first one was back at a show in February 2016, Northumbria Uni. It was me, Oliver Barrett, and Prime in a triple threat. That's the closest I've ever come to winning. Every time since then, I've been getting beaten gradually quicker and quicker, and just taking more and more suplexes each time. But no, I have a list of all my favourite opponents, and he's on there. I kind of think who my favourite actually is. Possibly Oliver Barrett, maybe.
Yeah.
But no.
So would you say, like, you've got now? Have you got someone in the Northeast that you can have a match with, and it's different every time, and it's always interesting?
2 names spring to mind straight away.
Yeah.
Oliver Barrett and Firebird.
Oh, right. I wasn't expecting that name. Firebird.
Oh, me and Firebird have had feuds on and off for years now. I was one of his first big major feuds
Oh, nice.
under said previously mentioned mask gimmick. I feel like if people go back now and search, they can probably figure that
They'll
out.
probably be able to figure it out. But at the moment, we're going to keep kayfabe.
Yeah. Who's kayfabe?
Exactly.
But nah, Barrett and Firebird, I've had like about over 10 matches with them each, and every time it's been fun and it's been different. Well, apart from the time I injured Barrett, that wasn't too fun. But
I can imagine not.
up until that point, it was fun. It was going well.
Have you had a match with him since that happened?
No, that was back in February now. But he's only recently came back after that. But I feel like our paths will probably cross again at some point. Just keep an eye on like the dirt sheets and
Yeah, the dirt sheets. As if that's a thing these days. Like, you know, get to the Wrestling Observer.
I was trying to sound like I was in the know.
Rate your matches and a star rating out of 5.
I
don't actually do that.
You don't have to. Nobody is
we
Dave
don't
Meltzer
need to.
here.
No. Anything but Dave Meltzer, please.
To be fair, I don't even know why we do reviews of shows, because, I mean, like, people, like, we ask, like, obviously we ask promoters to come along and just be like, do you mind if we review your show, stuff like that, and then it gives them a little bit of press, so it goes out on our YouTube channel and stuff.
yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm still surprised that people say yes. Like, they're just like, yeah, sure, come along. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. Right, all right, no, but I'll turn up at this time. Can we get some interviews with people and all that sort of stuff? Like, it's just weird. Like, it's one of those things. So, I do have one final question before we
Go for it.
Right. So,
Absolutely.
this is an interesting one. How much has the Northeast wrestling scene developed since you started?
To put this into perspective, I think when I was starting out, there was about 3 companies in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
There's now about 15.
Yeah.
And that's not including the ones that tour around here. Like, you've got companies like, well, ones from Scotland that come down, ICW, W3L. You've got, I wouldn't really count What Culture as a Northeast company anymore because, like, they run all over the country now.
3CW.
Yeah,
Similar
3CW,
3CW,
Darlington and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a goal of mine to get on those shows eventually.
Yeah.
I set myself a goal each year of about 5 new companies, and I fucking shattered that record this year.
Yeah, you're doing really well for yourself, man. I mean, it's just like, so you feel like, do you feel like at the minute the Northeast seems to be the most up and coming, like, place?
It's the best it's been in a while.
Yeah.
There was quite a dark period where, like, it was just all a little bit shit.
Yeah, like a lot of social clubs. There's nothing wrong with playing social clubs, by the way.
Oh no, like,
but like, it's kind of like that was the entirety of all the shows.
I love a good social club show as long as they've got toilets backstage.
Yeah.
One's in a social club where there's no toilet back and your main eventing are the fucking worst.
Oh, jeez.
I've pissed in bottles before to get by.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But no,
man.
it's definitely doing better. Again, with companies like North and Absolute and all that kind of thing, they've definitely, like, made the Northeast scene interesting and a place to be again. My goal is to get to, like, other scenes. Like, I'm starting to get booked for Target. Again, not sure how that happens. They just inboxed me one day and they've been booking me against some pretty big names.
Yeah.
I've got Mike Bird from ICW coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be an
next
interesting
Saturday.
one. Mike Bird of Bird and Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One half of the tag team champions right now.
Yeah.
I recently had Joey Hayes and Danny Hope there.
Nice.
So yeah, I like the Northeast scene right now, but I want to, like, explore further and get booked.
You obviously the more opponents you're against and the different, like, you can only, there's a really nice William Regal saying that I like, that you can only get better by being put against people who are better than you.
Like, when I'm wandering around some of these shows like North and Absolute and Target and that, I look around and see some of the people and I think, like, I feel fucking out of place here. Like, what the hell am I doing with, like, all these big ICW and What Culture names and all that? But in a way, that's better than being, like, the top guy on, like, a small show with, like, 10 people in the crowd.
Yeah.
Walking around, like, full of trainees and that.
You're constantly learning though with those shows, aren't you? Like, even if you're not on the actual show, you can still at least ask people, like, advice on stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, it's probably one of the best things about those shows for you, I'd imagine.
I try to get feedback from, like, as many big names as I can now. Like, every time I've had, like, one of the big names recently that I have, I've always asked, like, what they thought and what I could improve on next time, and I just try to apply that whenever I can, whenever I'm back in the ring.
Oh man, that's badass. Well, you guys give Joe a quick like on Facebook, on his Twitter. Get him up to 1,000 likes. That's what we're going to try and do. Please, he needs it. He really does.
Make it happen, everyone.
We're going to try and make it happen and do our best. This has been an interesting interview with
I've enjoyed
Joe
it.
Biggs. Have you got anyone you want to do shout outs to, by the way? Or have you got any bookings you want to shout out? This should go out in the next couple of days.
I want to shout out to my chihuahuas.
Your chihuahuas.
What are their names?
Ruby, Sydney, and Teddy.
Hi, Ruby,
shit.
Sydney, and Teddy.
I have Target coming up on October 14th. I've got Shield Pro on the 28th. And I'll only go into a few of my November ones because there's no way I'm remembering all of that. On the 3rd, I have Rad Pro. 4th, I have North. 5th, I have Rad Pro again. The week after that, I have a Target on the 10th, Target on the 11th, and NGW Proving Grounds on the 12th. But I'll leave it at that because,
one of the busiest men in Northeast Wrestling. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in, Joe.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure having you on. Don't forget to give this a like and a subscribe if you like it. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment down below, and let us know how much you hate us. That'll be fun. You know.
Yeah, if there's anyone else you would like us to interview, by the way, and within reason, get in touch and we'll see what we can do for you. Sure, we can. Any questions you might have, and get Joe up to 1,000 likes, everyone. If you don't, then fuck you.